What's up, kinfolk? Welcome to the #1 college football show. I am your host, RJ Young. Today on the show, I want to talk a little bit about Oklahoma. I want to talk a little bit about Texas. I want to talk a little bit about Ohio State, Nebraska, and I want to get into this thing that is the college football playoff projections. Wrote about that at Fox Sports. You can go read that at Fox Sports. Also got an interesting take on Quinn Ewers, I think. Interesting take on Quinn Ewers coming back into the game against Georgia and being the starter going against number 25 Vanderbilt. But first, I want to start with this Oregon thing. I just want to acknowledge that anytime that we being folks whose job it is to ask questions at press availability, you call us the media, like some sort of mafia or just taking shots, man. Everybody's taking shots at anybody trying to do a job now. You ask the question, hey, #1 team in the country for the first time since 2012 in the Associated Press poll ranking. Never mind that RJ had you ranked at #1 last week before everybody else did, right? You ask Dan Lanning this question in earnest, and Dan Lanning says, who cares, and looks down. And I'm going, dog, we care. They care. The people that read the stuff, the people that watch the stuff, they care. They look at numbers next to names, and they decide whether or not somebody's any good. And that also means they decide whether or not they're going to watch you play football. If you got a number next to your name, people care. If you don't have a number next to your name, people either want to know why you don't, or they simply don't care, right? This is how we very quickly assess value. Now, I understand that I'm getting into people's feelings already, but being shallow is just part of it, man. That's what numbers and lists do. They turn things into rankings. It is a thing that we claim to hate, that every time I do it or someone else does it, you go read it and you go, how does this even happen? I'll give you an example. I didn't think that Washington was any good to start this season. I didn't. And they're like, dude, we won the Pac-12 championship last year. We played in the college football playoff. We finished runner-up. We're the national championship runner-up. And I said, I still don't think you're any good. I don't believe you, right? I got all sorts of guff from Washington fans. And you know what? They're not great. They're not great. Are they Michigan bad? No. But you know what? People would not suffer? Michigan being ranked 99 out of 100 teams, even though if you look at Michigan right now, it don't look good. It looks like they're playing without a functional quarterback because they are, right? You can keep going down the list on this. I think that to thumb your nose at rankings is just bad form. Perhaps all you're thinking about is the psychology of your football team. Fine. But the rest of us are also interested parties in your football team. And we don't play football. We just want to watch your team play. And or we like some of the guys on your team, or dare I say it, we got family members on that team. We care very much about, how you are perceived among the rest of us. That's why we care not just how you win, but that you win with a smile on your face or a frown on your face or whatever it is that you're doing authentically. I don't get wanting to take a shot at being the #1 team in the country. And it's not just Dan Lanning that did this. Steve Sarkisian tried to do this in a way that is magnanimous, but felt backhanded because, he says, look, it doesn't matter what you think of us. And I'm like, all right, man, how do you think that we crowned mythical national champions up until we got to a place where we're trying to crown the one for all time? It's because people's opinions outside of those locker rooms carry weight and matter. That's why Oklahoma State gets to hold up a 1945 national championship that we know should go to Army. Because other people's opinions matter. I'm never going to be about dunking on being the #1 ranked team. It's never going to be a thing that I enjoy. I think that if you are ranked, you acknowledge it. You ain't got to be jumping up and down and proud, but Oregon being a #1 ranked team for the first time in 12 years is worth more than who cares. It is. It's worth more than sending 12 men on the field to try to run out the clock, right? It's not worth as much as perhaps beating Ohio State at Autzen by 1 point, but it's worth something to the rest of us, and that's kind of what it is, right? That's the point. The point is, it might not be worth a damn to Dan Lanning, right? But Dan Lanning, the Oregon football coach, I would like to see that he thinks more of it for the rest of us and for the folks that have been Duck fans forever. Going back to when Bobby Moore played wide receiver at Oregon and not Ahmad Rashad. If you don't understand, then I ain't talking to you. I'm talking to the person that understands. The person that knows that Oregon football ain't won a national championship. And this is their best chance to do just that. You can't do that unless you're one of the 12 best teams in college football. And we put numbers next to those. If you were undefeated and you were ranked behind Georgia, would you have a conniption about it? Maybe not. But when it comes to seeding, you would. Come college football playoff selection time, all coaches are going to do is stand on the stump and tell you why they deserve to be in the college football playoff. Damn the rankings. No. The rankings matter. The rankings have always mattered. They will always matter. The seeding matters a little less than it used to because we're not just handing out national championships to anybody now, and people decide to get mad about it. There is an old stodgy take that bothers me to this day, that the expansion of the college football playoff and the idea of trying to have the one true champion is a bad thing for college football, because they would say college football is regional. It's not supposed to be about national championships. There's only a couple of programs in the sport that play for national championships. No, that's not true. That's not true. It's a bold-faced lie. It's not only a bold-faced lie, it goes against everything that you want to believe, right? You want to believe that if you got a team and that team is good, you got a shot in the tournament. It's one of the reasons we love the NCAA tournament, right? We love watching men's and women's basketball teams go at it because anybody could win it, but not anybody does. But everybody gets a shot, right? That's the point. I want to be the number one team in the country because I hold the belt. I don't want to share that title. Who wants to share being number one? Who wants to share a championship? Nobody. I want to duke it out. Put them in the ring with me. If I get my ass beat, then that's what that is, right? I can live with that. I can't live with not getting a shot. I certainly can't live with somebody telling me I'm not good enough if I beat everybody in front of me. Okay, give me somebody to beat. Now, is that going to make for great television? No. Have we decided that we don't want to watch that game? Yes. Are we going to be made to eat it if Liberty is the highest ranked Group of 5 champion? They ain't played nobody? Yeah. But you know what? They'll get beat and we'll move on with our business. Instead, I got a whole bunch of folks out here who want the regionality of the sport to be dominant in a culture that is monolithic. Like, we have become much more of a monoculture than the internet intended, right? Internet was supposed to be this place of democratization when really it's become this place where you create these communities or these corners and then you ostracize people that ain't been there the whole time. I'm not with that. I hate that. Part of that is being football bully, you know? Folks that want to lord over you their knowledge of football or not. The same folks that show up to try to tell you off because they don't like an opinion you have, right? I hate that stuff. Come with an argument. Build an argument. You know what I'm saying? This ain't your daddy's Facebook page. I don't deal in feelings over here as much as I deal in facts. Fact is, Oregon's undefeated with the second best win in all of college football, and that merits the number one ranking. If it didn't, we wouldn't give it to Oregon. And that's what happened. Acknowledge that. Acknowledge you're the best team in football right now. Acknowledge that there's only one way to go from there. And embrace it. Embrace the struggle that it will be to maintain the number one ranking all the way through January 20th. Either step up and be about it or don't. But don't say who cares. That's just mean. All right. I want to talk a little bit about Texas at Vanderbilt because I think it's interesting. I had this question from my editor at Fox Sports, great man named Sean. Really love him. The question was, what do we think about Quinn Ewers being named the starter going into their now ranked matchup at Vanderbilt? Hook them up or get anchored down, baby, because Vanderbilt is done being your bottom dweller. Vanderbilt has come to fist fight, and I'm about it. I love this so much. Now, a game that felt like it was just going to be a glorified FCS contest at the start of the season is a real live football game where Vanderbilt can win. And Texas has the opportunity to do something really funny, which is be the number one ranked team, lose to Georgia, and then lose to Vanderbilt back-to-back weeks. Be hard to justify Texas as one of the 12 best teams in the sport with a loss to Vanderbilt because they ain't got the wins on their resume that say Georgia does. Georgia's got 2 top 10 wins on its resume. They can lose another game. They're still going to get in. Texas is beating Oklahoma and Michigan, and they sorry. They real sorry. Vanderbilt is a better win for Texas than Oklahoma and Michigan. Talk about living in the twilight zone. Try telling that to yourself even 5 years ago. Now try telling it to yourself 20 years ago. Self would be like, you crazy. Is that what happens to us? Do we go senile early? Is that what happens? Because that's not a thing. Texas beats Oklahoma and Michigan, but they're looking forward to trying to beat Vanderbilt because that's the better win? Nah, man. That don't wash. And yet, that's what it is. So we're seeing Quinn Ewers is going to be the starter, as he was the starter at the start of the game against Georgia. Vandy's ranked. Vandy moves. But what will Texas do? To which my response is move or die. Move or die. 2018 National Championship game. It was clear to Brian Dable and Nick Saban that Jalen Hurts is the more mobile and athletic quarterback and the starter for most of the year, right? He needed to play the game against SEC, in the SEC championship game, and he helped them win it because he's mobile. He can move around. He's also, built like an edge rusher. It helps. But against Georgia, the one thing that they could take advantage of and they could exploit was their speed on the perimeter. And that means you got to be able to throw deep balls. And you got to be able to throw them deep and on time and where Devontae Smith can catch them. And that was not in Jalen Hurts' game at the time. Specifically throwing deep to the left. The pass that Tua Tagovailoa made to Devontae Smith to win that game against Georgia National Championship game? Yeah, that's why they gave him the hook. You go away from the mobile quarterback to the guy that can throw the better deep ball. And spoilers, they win the national championship. 2021 edition of OU Texas, okay? Lincoln Riley pulls a seasoned starter in Spencer Rattler for the more explosive and athletic Caleb Williams. At the time, OU trailed Texas 35-17. That worked too, right? That worked too. Oklahoma comes back to beat Texas 55-48. And this is year one of Steve Sarkisian. Never mind that Steve Sarkisian was the Atlanta Falcons offensive coordinator in 2018, where, they played the national championship game too. Probably saw what Nick Saban had done there, logged that away. Then his year one at Texas, he sees Lincoln Riley pull the damn true freshman out and go beat him. Come back from 35-17 to go get a victory in the Cotton Bowl. Probably put that one away too. Move or die. So Steve Sarkisian sees all this unfold, probably putting it away, knowing that he's one of the three best play callers in the sport. And they're down bad at home to Georgia. They cannot move the football. And one of the reasons they can't move the football is Quinn Ewers stuck in the mud back there. Now, you can make an argument to me that Arch Manning is as talented a deep ball thrower as Quinn Ewers, but you will not make an argument to me that Arch Manning isn't the more athletic quarterback of the two. So you're going to go do that. You're going to try to put Arch in there to give the offense something like somebody who can move around, if only for this matter, because you need to fix this problem. You need a solution, right? So you're going to try it. You're going to throw out a guy who looks every bit like he's going to be the starter and every bit like he can be the starter, but he's just not as good at recognizing what he sees as Quinn Ewers. You could also make the argument to me that pocket awareness wasn't all there for Quinn Ewers. Okay, cool, that needs to improve, but saying pocket awareness needs to improve against Georgia's front seven is saying move or die. He couldn't move. He couldn't see it. He couldn't step up into it. It wasn't there. I want to say that Jalen Walker and Mykel Williams, they had something to do with that. You know what I'm saying? They kind of make it hard for you to want to move up into the pocket. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm the only person that sees 6'4", 260 and say, you know what, I might not want none of that. Maybe I want to wait for somebody to try to run into the open. Okay? Didn't happen. But he made the move, right? It didn't work. Comes back with Quinn Ewers. They put some points on the board. They ultimately lose the football game. But now we're having this conversation about, like, when Arch Manning's time is going to come and whether or not Arch Manning's going to be the starter at the end of the season. Nah. You saw what it looked like. Turns out Jalen Walker's going to run down Arch Manning too, because that's what happened. It didn't matter that Arch Manning was more athletic and faster than Quinn Ewers. It mattered that Jalen Walker was going to run down anybody you put back there on that day. That was him. That was all him. That was the Kirby Smart defense doing what the Kirby Smart defense does. I don't understand why we're still having that conversation, but you know what? It is a question that was given to me, and I wanted to take it on. And seeing as it's a question given to me by a smart man about college football, I figured that the rest of y'all would want some sort of explanation for that too. And even as I say this, I can already hear people going, well, Arch is still going to be the starter at the end. Maybe, but I doubt it. Certainly not going to be the starter against Vandy. So short of a Quinn Ewers injury, I don't expect to see Arch Manning much at all the rest of the season. If for no other reason, then why would you burn that boy's red shirt right now? Do you want to do to him what you're doing to Jackson Arnold? Okay? By you, I mean Oklahoma, not Texas. You know what I mean there. And we're going to talk about Oklahoma here in a little bit. But I kind of want to make a stop at Ohio State and Nebraska. Because I'm looking at Ohio State and Nebraska, and I asked this question already in earnest, but I'm going to ask it again. What Nebraska are we going to see show up at number 4 Ohio State? Because I know what Ohio State team we're going to see. We're going to see a team that absolutely positively needs to go dunk on Nebraska. they can't afford to show any signs of weakness going into the next few weeks where the College Football Playoff Selection Committee is going to start seeding teams. And they don't have the luxury of doing what they did in 2020, which is beating up on Nebraska 52-17. Ryan Day coming out there going, I'm sorry I didn't take a knee late there in the fourth quarter. Nah, dog, you need all the points this time. You got to stun them. Because what Indiana did to them, you got to do that plus. You know, that you got to be in that range. It's got to be 42-7, 49-7, 56-7. It's got to be in there. For Nebraska, are they going to turn into Oregon overnight? Because I doubt it. But if they do it, cool, great, I'll watch it. Feels like, though, Nebraska's going to lose their 27th straight against a top 25 opponent, dating back to 2016. Looking like being 0-6 in games during the Matt Rule era where they could bid to bowl eligibility with a loss here. And you know what? It feels that way because the thing that we said about this Husker team is that the defense is good, like bordering on elite. That ain't true no more. No. Not when you give up Indiana putting you in a Ric Flair figure four for 495 yards, 215 yards on the ground, 6.5 yards per carry, 56 points. One fell swoop. Defense mini, Urban Meyer included, believe was elite. No. Looked like Voltron. And then they got zapped by Zacron. Zacron said, no, the blood of the empire runs through these veins. That's what Indiana said. I'm about to show you what's really good, Voltron. Legendary defender my fanny. So now we're talking about a Nebraska offense that is inconsistent, dithering, and incapable of scoring more than 24 points on anybody who can make weight. Okay? They can punch down with the best of them. You know, Northern Iowa, UTEP, anybody in this Power 4 program, they can't score more than 24 on you. So if you can score 25, what it feels like, that's what all it's going to take to beat Nebraska. Because that offense ain't doing much of nothing. And it's not as if we haven't seen Nebraska right where they are right here last year. As much as we want to talk about, you know, the start that they're on and being ahead of schedule and year 2 of Matt Rule, they are looking at being right where they were last year. You know why? They played another team that was contending for the Big Ten championship last year. Feels like eons ago, but it was Michigan. And Michigan stomped a mud hole in Nebraska and walked a drive 45-7. Okay? They were 5-3 after that. They're looking at 5-3 after a loss to Ohio State. Can a 5-3 Nebraska get to 6 wins? That's the question here. Meanwhile, we're talking about the Buckeyes are a college football playoff team. Okay? The 1-point loss to the number 1 team in the sport, and they've had to eat that for an entire week. Now, they got to go take it out on Nebraska and everybody else they face, and they can't wait for Indiana to be undefeated when they get to them because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take that sort of stomping out to convince people, once again, that Ohio State is one of those teams that needs to be in the conversation for the top 4 seed. But given that we saw Jim Knowles' defense get tested for the first time all year by a worthy opponent, you ought to hold Nebraska to next to nothing. We're talking about a team that ranks 90th in scoring, 99th in rushing, and just 57th in passing. They ought not move the football. And Indiana's made it real difficult for you. You know what I'm saying? That defense held them in check. So Denzel Burke getting cooked can't happen. Not against this team. Can't happen. They don't have a wide receiver I think is capable of cooking Denzel Burke to start. So if it happens, we got a real problem. We got to raise alarms everywhere. Can't let them run the football either. Maybe get some takeaways in there. And then go just be Ohio State the rest of the way, right? So I want to talk a little bit about Oklahoma, USC, Michigan, Florida State. 4 programs that are modern blue bloods for us that I otherwise would expect to be in a conversation for the college football playoff right now, and they are not. Every last one of these programs is sorry. Oklahoma has a winning record. It's 4-3. But combined, Michigan, USC, Florida State, Oklahoma are 12-16. Florida State is off to its worst start to a season since 1975 at 1-6. Okay? It's only that Mike Norvell makes $10 million that we aren't necessarily focusing on Lincoln Riley, who also makes $10 million. And his team is just a little bit better. They're 3-4. But it still is not what you're expecting from USC. Them being bad this year, didn't see that one coming, man. Not really. We're talking about a team that could be 7-0 if the head coach made plays. And by that, I mean clock management, calling right time out the right time, using the clock wisely, forcing the offense to slow down and complement your defense. Head coach stuff. It's an offense you call, and it's a defense that you put together. That's on him. Now they're 500 over the last 22 games they played, 11-11. USC paid $4.5 million to get Lincoln Riley out of his contract and to USC, and then made him the highest paid coach at the time with this reported $10 million salary. Now what do you got? You got a USC that can't get past Minnesota, that can't get past the Michigan, and ain't got no quarterback. And for the most part, it should have had Penn State dead to rights, which is why I got Penn State on watch. Like, you don't beat up on Wisconsin and Ohio State. I'm showing up to your warrant I'm showing up to your house with a warrant that says fraud. Because getting pushed by this USC team does not look good anymore. The win that they got over LSU makes LSU kind of look suspect, Yeah, I'm catching hell from LSU fans, by the way. Because I had the nerve to say they might get beat down by Georgia in the SEC championship game. I fail to see where the take is on that you're going to get mad about, dog. I can't help stupid, all right? I can't help you if you can't help yourself, okay? Understand that the Georgia Bulldogs that we saw against Texas, they coming after everybody. It's not just LSU. They coming after everybody. If they can do that to Texas and that offensive line, what you think they're going to be able to do to you? You know what I'm saying? All right? I can't help you. People call me the OU homer here, and I'm going, I know. A lot of things, but that ain't it, dog. That ain't it. Ask any Oklahoma fan who knows something about me. They'll be like, hey, RJ, he'd be the first person to tell us that we crappy. Because they are. So, news was made with Seth Luttrell getting fired. I get that. News being made that Jackson Arnold's going to start against Ole Miss? Nah, it's not good. It's not good. The offense is not good. Hell, Brent called it up. He said, look, we're an abomination on offense. Because they are. It is offensive what this offense cannot do. 128th in the country at Oklahoma? All right, I realize that Oklahoma has one more game than it has lost, which makes it better than USC by default, right? But I got to tell y'all, this Cold War going on between Oklahoma fans and USC fans is only going to get even more warm. It's going to get warmer. It's going to get hot. It's going to get toasty. Because now that neither one of them is playing for championships, they're playing to see which team can actually get out of the doldrums quicker. Okay? Oklahoma's got a bit of an advantage, it thinks, because won 10 games last year. But, that Cotton Bowl year was pretty good for Lincoln Riley. You know what I'm saying? That Heisman year, that was also pretty good for Lincoln Riley. Oklahoma ain't won no championship in half a decade now. Okay? All right? Let's put that out there. Now, they're both off to what I think are piss-poor, mediocre starts in their respectively new conferences. But I got to also tell y'all, man, I need Oklahoma and USC to play each other in a bowl game like I needed Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather Jr. to fight each other before they became geriatrics. It got to happen. Like, you ever have them homeboys and them homegirls that, they be just barking at each other and they be sniping at each other all the time? You be like, can y'all go over there and work that out? Can y'all get on some gloves right quick and go to work on each other? Because this has got to stop. You got that one partner that can't stand that other partner. You know what I'm saying? It looked like Pyru and Crip over here. And, you in the middle over here going, damn, can we? That was 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? But no, it's turning into Ohio State, Michigan with Oklahoma, USC. It's turning into Hatfield, McCoys. It's turning into Texas A&M. They got their reasons. Oklahoma certainly got its reasons. This grapes to wrath stuff, this Joe's exit, paying $4.5 million to get somebody up out of their contract so you can pay them even more to be in the sun, South Central, having a good time while people keep thumbing their nose at Oklahoma. Nah, it got to happen. So that is my fervent Christmas wish. That's what I want. I want 2 bowl-eligible teams, USC and Oklahoma, play each other in a bowl game this year. I don't care what it's got to look like. I don't care what you got to do to get it to me. I just need it. I need it with Brent Venables as head coach. I need it with Lincoln Riley as head coach. I need one still basically calling the offense and one still basically calling the defense. and let's go to work, man, because that's what I got left right now. You know, and as far as the college football playoffs concerned, I'm going to have my own fun, but I ain't got no dog in that fight no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be watching that one, calling the game. This one, I'm going to be watching it, calling the game, going, ooh, I know where that jab came from. Yeah, I know where that jab came from. That jab came from 2021 loss Oklahoma State. I seen that one. I see that. All right, cool. I seen that one too. That one came from sitting Spencer Rattler once, sitting Spencer Rattler twice, and then making off with Caleb Williams. I seen that too. You know what I'm saying? I saw that one. I saw it was Bob Stoops at the Oregon game, Alamo Bowl. I seen that one too. You know what I'm saying? I want to get to the part of this where we're having these discussions that only USC and Oklahoma fans are going to feel these burns, are going to feel what was said, because it's getting into that K-Dot Drake space where K-Dot is only making beats to go after Drake. Not anybody else. Saying things that are specifically targeted at Drake. You make your analogy to whomever you want there, your comparison to whoever you want there. I just want to see it. There is nothing I love more than watching rivals who hate each other play each other. It is. Ooh, I love that. I love that because you get the sweet release of, hey, I'm just here for violence. You know what I mean? That's Ohio State, Michigan. I'm just here for violence. Somebody's going to be very unhappy. And the other person, they're not going to be happy. They're going to be relieved. There's no happiness in that. There's none. There's only relief and more anger. And we'll see the next time. The thing about Oklahoma and USC is they're not natural rivals. They're only natural rivals right damn now. I dare say Oklahoma fans feel some kind of way about Lincoln Riley in a way they don't feel about Matt Leinart, which is a wild thought because all Matt Leinart has done is beat up on everybody. Like, you go look at the teams that Matt Leinart was quarterback for, show me the L's. You know what I mean? He got wins against everybody, and all the wins feel bad. You know, there's the Bush push against Notre Dame. There's the Ashley Simpson booing, stomping out that he gave us at 2004. All the way down. Everybody got beef with Matt, right? But this one, I think that if Oklahoma fans drew USC drew Oklahoma fans, ooh-wee. That might be the best attended bowl game that ain't in the college football playoff. And I dare say it might outdraw the 5-12 matchup because everybody would know the same thing. We all want to see this fight. Full stop. Show it to me. All right. That is going to do it for tonight's live episode of the #1 College Football Show. If you like the show, subscribe to the channel. If you don't like the show, tell me about it in the comments. We'll see what we can do about that. All right. I'll see you on the flip side. Doses.